She's Katie Montgomery. He's Justin Joseph. These best friends are serving subpoenas to bad advice weekly with Wrong Way Forward. Now, here's Katy and Justin.
Hi, and welcome to Wrong Way Forward. My name is Katy Montgomery, and I'm here with my best friend, Justin Joseph. And today we're going to talk about graduation. It is that time of the year you are probably seeing on TV, on social media, also in all the newspapers, comments about graduation speeches. Is this good advice? But I think what's really fascinating this year and something that really piqued our interest is that we're starting to see that usually graduation speakers, they're invited. Sometimes they're even chosen by the student body. There's a short list of people they'd like to invite. And this year, quite a few got booed. And so the question is this the wrong way forward? And why is this happening?
Yeah, and I don't think it's unusual for graduation speakers to get booed. That's probably happened since the beginning of time. I think anymore in this political environment, et cetera, it's happening more often. And then in addition to that, AI has been a big hot topic.
So Justin, I have to tell you, I don't recall ever hearing graduation speakers booed. I'm sure that it has happened, but it seems like this year there's a montage of people getting booed. And I wonder if is that the right way forward or the wrong way forward in order to express like freedom of speech, disagreement,
Sure.
right? Or is this a person who is there on invitation?
Sure.
They are a guest. They have been invited. And is it the appropriate forum to kind of register a distaste, dislike, or a commentary about what's happening?
100%. So let's listen to an NBC News kind of overview. Then we'll pick it up on the other side. This was from NBC News.
She's in commencement speech time, but one phrase proving wildly unpopular. The rise of artificial intelligence is the next industrial revolution.
From a tech business executive to a music industry titan, AI clearly striking a sore spot.
AI is rewriting production as we sit here. Deal with it. Like I said, it's a tool.
At the University of Arizona, former Google CEO Eric Schmidt faced loud jeers on the topic.
The question is whether you will help shape artificial intelligence. We do not know.
The speaker choice was controversial from the get-go. So
You get an idea of it there. I mean, I think this year especially because grads are feeling so much sensitivity and anxiety about what's next for them. They don't want to hear the word AI.
Right. And I think some people would argue that that's the wrong way forward. It's here and it's outside your locus of control. You can't change it. And so rather than booing, go figure out how to make yourself, marketable, how to make yourself, stand out. And is that, a good use of time? Other people would say it is a commentary and maybe the pressure and the collective voice of these students. I mean, one of those speakers was, I think, at either University of Arizona or Arizona State University. These are large graduating classes.
Sure.
I mean, these are very big schools. And so that is a significant, kind of commentary on kind of what's happening. And I have to tell you, on this one on tour, I don't know whether it is the wrong way forward.
In terms of the booing or?
I think the booing.
Yeah.
I don't think it is the wrong way forward for the speakers to address it. I think it is relevant. And I think it is, if you think about a graduation speech, is talking about the future and how to take a college education and to kind of adapt itself and to go on to the next steps of the journey. I don't think it was the wrong way forward for those speakers to address it. They might not have addressed it the most clever way. They might not have been reading the room and understanding. Most of these speakers, the three that you showed, my guess would be all are above the age, maybe even
Sure.
55. So they probably cleared a lot of this AI gap, right?
Yeah.
And so I think probably where their wrong way forward is that they didn't read the room and kind of understand the true audience. But I don't think it was the wrong way forward to mention it, because I think if you are talking about the future and where your path is going to take you, they were saying you need to be highly aware of this and how you're going to adapt.
100%. And I think even just in our own real lives, AI is an ongoing discussion. And I'm sure in your career, certainly in my career, it's just at the forefront of what everybody's thinking. And so
Right.
for these kids, especially who are wondering where their next job is, if you don't address it, then you're leaving something majorly unsaid that needs to be discussed.
Well, and I think it begs the question, is it hypocritical to boo at your college graduation when someone talks about AI and then literally go home and sign on to Claude or ChatGPT?
Yeah, and it needs to be discussed. It needs to be talked about. And I think that maybe that's the challenge for these speakers as to how do you approach it? And I think some of them try to no avail. How do you approach it in a way that is hopeful?
Yeah.
And it gives some optimism to these kids, because that's ultimately what the point of the graduation speech is.
Yeah. And I think, a bigger question, we're going to actually talk to my niece, who's a recent, kind of high school graduate, is anybody actually listening to these speeches?
Yeah.
Is this actually really resonating? And why have we not, kind of flipped it on its head and said, what should graduations look like? It is a rite of initiation.
Sure.
Because of that, it should have some history, some pomp and circumstance, some tradition. But we have to adapt to AI. How about we adapt to maybe, kind of shaking up what a college graduation looks like and what a speaker looks like?
Do you remember any of the speeches from your graduations? Anything?
I don't remember anything. But, here's the thing that's going to sound really kind of crazy. I gave the graduation speech in high school, and I gave the graduation speech at my law school graduation. And then in college, I probably was just hungover. And so I don't recall, but I was also so concerned with what I was saying, that I was not at full attention.
I'll tell you one that I remember. It was not my graduation. I think it was my brother's undergrad at Wake Forest graduation, and the valedictorian gave a speech, and his story was so impactful that I haven't forgotten it this day. I won't do it justice like he did. But he tells the story of his roommate's cat. And he said this cat was basically just a mess. And he said every time the roommate would go home, the cat would be into something it shouldn't have been. And had a fascination, I guess, with ceiling fan. And so it kept jumping up on the ceiling fan and da-da-da. And it got caught in the ceiling fan several times. Anyway, long story short, the cat ends up dying in the ceiling fan. And he told the story about all the joy the cat brought throughout the life. But the point he makes at the end, which I just will not, and you get the story way better than I would, is he said, what I realized is that this cat brought so much joy to so many people, and he did it without ever hurting anyone. And that was the point. It was a dumb cat story. I thought that was such a beautiful.
Well, and that's the gift of storytelling, right?
Yeah.
To kind of surprise you or kind of on a quick turn. The person who spoke in our college graduation was Richard Ford.
Okay.
Who is he is not a famous novelist like John Grisham. He is not a household name, but I think he might have won a Pulitzer. He's really well regarded. And one of my gifts for graduation was an autographed book that my mom got for Richard Ford. And I think probably his most famous book is Independence.
Nice.
This shows you how much of an impression Richard Ford made on me. I have been massive reader. I read a ton of books. He was our graduation speaker. My mom gave me the book. It was autographed. I've never read a Richard Ford book.
All right, when we come back into this, we're going to talk more about booing. Donald Trump was booed at Madison Square Garden. Right or wrong way forward. We'll talk about that on the other side. Plus, we're going to bring in an invited caller, Katie's niece, to talk about what she's seeing out there. For she just graduated high school, talk to her also. So we'll be right back on the other side.
You've been listening to Wrong Way Forward, where bad advice goes to die and then gets resurrected just so we can roast it again.
If you're enjoying the chaos, hit like and subscribe and come back every Thursday for new episodes.
Have a new topic or some disastrously bad advice you want to dissect? Email wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. Include your contact info.
Now back to Wrong Way Forward.
Roasting the worst advice ever. Welcome back to the Katy and Justin podcast.
Welcome back to Wrong Way Forward, where this week we are talking about, I guess we're talking about graduation. It's the time of year when everybody's doing it. It's, what's funny about her is it's so important to the people who are going through it. I mean, for all the times you've done it, it's a big deal.
So it's really interesting. We are going to talk to Ann Luckett, and she just graduated from high school, and none of us made it to the high school graduation, right? I think my parents, if they were still alive, who lived an hour away, would have made it, but I wasn't.
But her parents.
Her parents, but it's high school. I mean, that sounds so obnoxious because some people are like, that's, total. But it's interesting. I just went to Betty's third grade graduate.
Uh-huh.
And my friend just told me that her daughter graduated from eighth grade, and it was 2 weeks of events. before the high school graduation. I think this is the petting and the stroking of children
Yeah.
to give them, we are so proud of you for getting through third grade. Who gives a rip that?
Yeah.
I mean, you are mandatory. It is mandatory who finished school.
Yeah.
to
Third grade.
I think it's also, like you said, it's not just for the people who are graduating, it is for the parents. So
Oh,
at
interesting.
Danny's graduation, and I was about 15 minutes early, and I thought that was great. And I walked in, and every single seat along the aisle, because the children walk up the aisle, kind of show cathedral. Every single seat and every single second seat along the aisle was taken.
By parents.
And those parents got there literally at the crack of dawn to take a picture. And part of me is like, Katie, you don't have a child. It's a third grade graduation. There's a professional photographer who takes a picture when they get their diploma. Did you
Right.
get a diploma in third grade? I didn't.
No, I don't think so.
And so part of me just thought, is this actually for the graduate or is it for the parent?
Yeah, third grade is silly. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I could not agree more. And so I do think that they're important. Maybe it was because I knew at college graduation I was going on to law school.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it wasn't the importance of receiving a college degree. I think it more was the lead up and us all having our parents there. And then your fraternity threw that big party at the Hog's Breath Saloon afterward.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember going with my grandparents and then just having a drink under all those bras hanging from the ceiling. Like that to me was graduation.
Yeah. Plus, the graduation in college is you realize that, it really is the start of your life. You're also saying goodbye to some very close friends because nobody lives in the same,
100%.
not like high school, everybody lives down the street.
But it wasn't the actual ceremony. It
No.
was more of the feeling of closing that chapter that's more significant.
We said before you and lock out on the line, we said we also would talk about just booze in general. It made headlines this week. Donald Trump went to Madison Square Garden for the Knicks game and he was booed. Do we think, and this isn't about Donald Trump, do we think, I think booing another team or opponent is okay. That's part of the game. Do you think booing a person is ever acceptable?
I have to tell you, I am really, really torn in this one. Living in D.C., we've also seen J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
Who's been, there with Usha, and they've been booed at the Kennedy Center.
Sure.
Right? Part of me sees this as free speech. And again, it is a forum where you can express displeasure. And I think particularly if you're highly frustrated and you're not going to take another vote for 4 years, or you feel like it's out of your control, that might make you feel like you have a little bit of control and some way to make a comment. And then there's part of me that it's like, what's the objective here?
What's the point?
Like, we're at the Kennedy Center to watch a show. We are at the Madison Square Garden to watch the Knicks. Like, the objective and why we're here and what came together. And so I have to tell you, this is one that I'm really torn on. And maybe it's because I fear that if I had been in Madison Square Garden or if I had been at the Kennedy Center, I might have gotten caught up with everyone in booze.
Yeah. I think half the reason a lot of booed is because of the security wait time with bringing a president. I think it tripled it they were there in line 3 hours. A lot of them didn't even boo for political reasons. Some of them just were not happy that he was there.
Yeah.
So, all right. I just said, we're going to talk to Ann Luckett. We're going to ask her about her experience at graduation, and we'll do that right on the other side. We'll be right back.
Thanks for streaming Wrong Way Forward, the weekly reminder that advice is usually free for a reason. We call out bad advice wherever it hides: boardrooms, break rooms, and even book clubs.
Enjoying this dumpster fire? Like, subscribe, and check back every Thursday for new episodes. Want us to roast your favorite piece of nonsense? Email us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. Be sure to include your contact info. We're not psychic, just judgmental. And now, back to Wrong Way Forward.
Roasting the worst advice ever. Welcome back to the Katy and Justin.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward, where we're talking about all things graduation. And we are lucky this week to have an invited guest, Ann Luckett, who's part of the Montgomery family. And Ann Luckett, you just graduated this week. Tell us about it.
I did, yeah. So I graduated about a month ago. It was really great. It's kind of a bittersweet ending, but yeah, it's really exciting, and I'm excited for the next year. It's gonna be great.
What was memorable about the graduation? Was there anything? Was it something you look forward to?
Yeah, so all the people that did speeches, like all the student body presidents and the salutatorian and valedictorian were some of my really close friends. So that was something really special to see. And my choir also sang the national anthem.
Oh, how cool.
sad and sweet because that was my last time singing with the choir. Um, yeah, it was a really special graduation. We have a pretty big class, especially for a school in Mississippi. And so we got to do our graduation in the pavilion at Ole Miss where they have like all the big basketball games and stuff. It was really great.
Let me ask you this. One of the things we talked about before you joined was just was there anything memorable, or what were your takeaways from the valedictorian speech? Like, what was their message?
One of my friends, she was a salutatorian, and she did a speech. The valedictorian did a speech, and he tried to make it like funny and stuff. They kind of really take that much away from it. My friend who was the salutatorian, she did a speech about theater and how it like brought her out into becoming a new person, which is something we did theater together, and that was how we were really close friends. And theater had been like something that it was really sweet to hear that speech
Uh-huh.
in my high school career because theater had been like the most confidence boosting thing for me that I had probably experienced
Sure.
through high school. So to hear her talk about that such a monumental experience for both of us was really sweet. So I really took a lot away from that.
What about I doubt this happened, but did anybody get booed, or did any part of the speech was any part of the speech controversial?
No, there wasn't really any of that. All the speeches were very and I was even talking to like my parents after graduation, and we were all kind of like there was nothing really that memorable about the speeches. They were all just kind of like, farewell speeches. They didn't have anything of like super valuable substance. And my mom was actually valedictorian, so we were talking about and she was just telling us how it was just so much different.
What about anxiety? Like, obviously it's a big step to graduate from high school. You're going to college, or no?
Yeah.
Yes, I assumed you were. I just didn't want to put you on the spot. So you've still got some time, but any anxieties? Everybody's talking about how AI. The assumption is people your age have a lot of anxiety because of AI and whether that's going to have an impact on the job market, et cetera. Are you thinking about any of that? Are your friends thinking about that?
I mean, yeah, the valedictorian actually got accepted to Stanford, and he's doing a program that is only available at Stanford, and it an AI collaborative program where he actually designed AI. And I talked to him a little bit about it, and he's just kind of skeptical about it because he will be designing AI, but it's also one of those things where it's like once he designs it, how will that affect? Once he makes it, how will it affect his own career?
Sure. And on that same note, are you finding that some of your colleagues or fellow students are more of them that you would expect doing some of the trades, like being an electrician or learning how to be a plumber? Are you seeing people doing that as well because they don't want to waste the money at college, et cetera? Or ha-
I mean, I think definitely. Since when I started high school, there weren't a lot of people that I knew going into like the like more blue collar fields of like doing manual stuff like that. And there's a lot of people in my grade that have switched to that job choice. I think especially in Mississippi, those standards are pushed more. There's a class that's mandatory to take called College and Career Readiness before you graduate, and it's kind of a class that emphasizes like what to do if you don't want to have a college education. And in a way, it's beneficial, but in a way, it kind of pushes people towards going into like the workforce instead of school right away because it advertises jobs that are needed in Mississippi.
Great.
So I think from the school, like from the schools in general, those jobs are like that career choice is being pushed instead of going to college. Um, but yeah, some of my friends have like AI is it's a thing that's talked about amongst a lot of my friends. Like my best friend, he wants to be a pharmacist, like and she's planning to go to pharmacy school after he graduates from undergrad. And she's worried about some of that stuff because pharmacy is just like calculations and things that could be done by a computer if it's needed. So yeah.
You know what? And like the title of our podcast is Wrong Way Forward. And
Yeah.
both Justin and I have a lot of friends whose first kids are going to college, or they're kind of at this stage with their children. What is the wrong way forward for parents at this stage as you make the transition, right? It's like, you're going to miss home and you're going to miss your family, but, that's part of the growing up process is having the separation. What's some pieces of advice that you would give? Like, don't do this. What would be the wrong way forward as you're kind of going through these next few months of transition before you go to college or before your friends go to that kind of first real job?
Like, are you saying directed towards students or parents?
I mean, either way, any kind of advice or anything that you're seeing, like, this is the wrong way forward. Do not do this.
I mean, I think a thing that I tried to do when I was first thinking about college and like a career in general is like you don't know what you're like. I changed my major so many times before I've even went to college. You have no idea what the next 4 years is going to look like for yourself. I don't think anybody should go into school or career being certain that that's what they want to do with their life and having like a very adamant idea that you have the next 4 years of your life planned out because you don't. Nobody does. Um, and like a lot of my friends have like this very certain adamant idea about what they want to do. Um, and it just doesn't seem reasonable to me, and it doesn't really seem like realistic. And I mean, I tried to do that a lot, and since like I first started high school, I was adamant on going to Belmont, which is where I'm ending up. But I went through a very like daunting process of looking at other schools, and I wasn't 100% dead set on Belmont towards the beginning of this year, and I just had completely second thoughts and anxieties about going to Belmont. And in the end, that's what I chose. But I think that you should be able to doubt your choices,
Love that.
explore other options, because I mean, you never know what's going to work out and what's not going to work out.
I mean, spoken from the mouth of babes. That's brilliant. I wish I was that
Yeah, that's great advice. It really is.
open-minded. Well, Ann Luckett, thank you so much for joining us, and happy graduation to you. And
Happy graduation, Luca. We wish you the best and are excited for your future.
Thank you so much.
okay, and I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you in Maine.
Okay,
Okay, I love you.
thank you. Bye. I love you.
Well, we want to thank Ann Luckett for joining us all the way from where is she's in
She's in Oxford, Mississippi.
Oxford, Mississippi. So we want to thank her for joining us. We want to thank you all for watching and listening again. And we will see you on next week's episode of Wrong Way Forward.
See you then.
All right, that's a wrap on this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward. Remember, the only thing worse than taking bad advice is giving it.
If you've liked what you've heard, like, subscribe, or follow us wherever you stream podcasts. And if you've got a topic or need some advice we'll probably regret giving, email us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward.